Welcome back to this episode. We literally just got off our live teaching inside the Elevated Life Club, our monthly membership for group coaching. And today's topic was all about intuition mastery. And holy smokes, am I on fire after that training that I told Chris, like, bro, let's bust out the podcast. Let's share some of these tips because when it comes to overthinking, this is our epidemic. Okay, this is the pandemic, is overthinking and second guessing yourself, not learning to trust yourself. So we wanted to share some tips on how you can quiet that overthinking mind to allow more intuition to flow through so that you can find your confidence, your clarity, and confirmation.
One of the biggest things that we're facing is stress, right? Stress is the big killer right now. They call it the silent killer. It's kind of becoming like the new cancer. And it's really amazing when you think about the fact that so much of our stress comes from the way that we think. And when we start to begin to quiet the mind, when we start to let things go a little bit, when we start to relax a little bit more, when we get more into the states that we need to be into, a lot more of life just begins to happen. And a lot of times, all that stress that we once felt just kind of slips away, and it's becoming so much easier to do what you want in life, to feel how you want to feel, to be guided in the ways that we know that we need to be guided, to hear those intuitive nudges that a lot of times we ignore because we're too tuned into our brain being all the time. It's all that fear, it's all that scarcity, it's all that terrible mindset that we get caught and stuck in, and it just repeats and repeats and repeats, and we wonder why one year doesn't lead to another good year, to another good year. It's because we stay stuck in the exact same patterns. So if you begin to quiet your mind down, if you can figure out how to relax it, what ends up happening is you just begin to relax, and life begins to happen in just the ways that you want it to.
You know, intuition is a natural part of your innate talent and ability. It's a built-in GPS system for you to be able to navigate and flow through life with fun and synchronicity. But also when shit hits the fan, your intuition's like, Mayday, hello, it's time. Make the change. Don't go up that mountain. Turn around. It's not a road. So if you've heard our mountain story, then you know my intuition yelled at me, and she usually whispers, and it comes from a place of love. But sometimes your intuition is there to help you get out of dire situations where you need that sense of like urgency.
Yeah. So let's talk about one of the first ways to quiet the mind, because that's what's really important today. That's what we want to focus on. So the first way is hypnosis. Hypnosis is one of the most phenomenal ways to quiet the mind down. If you are not lucky enough to be a hypnotist or to know one,
or be married to one,
what you can do instead is to practice meditation. Meditation is just similar gateway. A lot of times people, however, when they do meditation, it takes them a little bit longer because the technique is a little bit different. Hypnosis is just a really, really fast way to shortcut right into the meditative state. I love using it because what ends up happening is that most of us have a constant, the monkey mind, we call it, right? It's that always chatter. And as you slow the brain down, as you get into deeper mental states and you begin to relax, that part of your brain kind of turns off. And we like to send it out to do things. And you can start to find out, what are those nudges deep inside? What are those things that I know that I need to hear, but I've either been ignoring or just pushing away?
It's such an important piece of the puzzle because you can't hear your intuition if you're tapped into your logical mind. Your logical mind is its own channel and frequency in a beta brainwave state. And to rise above that monkey mind, as Chris called it, you have to elevate your energy, open your consciousness, quiet down the logical side of your mind to allow that intuitive information and tap into that higher channel in beta and theta and alpha as we get higher in the frequency. Well, actually the frequency gets slower and lower because you relax even more. So as we relax, as we quiet down, as we slow our thoughts down, we open up the channel for intuition to make its way through. And just like the oracle card in my Shine from the Inside oracle deck says, your ego whispers love and your ego shouts fear and your soul whispers love. I don't even know the card I wrote. Damn. But the truth is your intuitive voice is so quiet. And when you've got the marbles rattling around in the tin can in your brain, it's going to be impossible to even hear it because it's on a different frequency.
So this is something that can be really simple to do. The most basic technique that I like to do is to follow the breath. I mean, the breath is always rooted in the present moment. You have to remember that most of the thoughts that we have, especially the anxious thoughts, the worried thoughts, the scared thoughts, those are either in the future or the past. And so the beautiful part about the breath is always right here. You can't think about the breath that you're going to have in 4 minutes. I mean, it's going to be tough to do that. And so what you want to do instead is just to listen to that breathing. Just close your eyes down, find yourself in a safe, comfortable space, and just start to breathe and just start to relax. Don't make it more complicated than that. All we have to do is pull into the present moment. That's enough to get the mind to silence down. And then that is exactly when the intuition goes, hey, friend, I've been here for a while, but you've been listening to that chatty person all the time. So let's stop talking to them so much. Let me just tell you what I've been wanting to tell you for a long time.
Yeah. And if you struggle with turning off your thoughts, if you've never experienced hypnosis or deep meditation, that's something you struggle with, you're like, my mind goes here and here and it just does not stop, then I encourage you to download Chris's free relaxation meditation.
Holy smokes, is so good.
I know. This is something he sends to all of his clients before they work with him and do hypnosis so that they can start to train their brain to relax. So if you're someone who's like, sign me up for that, I need that meditation in my life right now, I'm ready for some hypno, then go to heyitscarmichael.com/relax. This is going to help you to literally automatically turn your mind off so that you're not on that constant hamster wheel of thought. Now, the second tip to quiet your overthinking mind is to get creative. This is my favorite one, whether I'm putting on makeup, painting hair in the salon, just dabbling with graphic design for my online business. Getting into creative states of flow bring you into the present moment. And when you're in the present moment, you're not living in the future and planning to fail. That's called worry. Or you're not hanging out in the past and fearing all the things that could go wrong because you've experienced it before. When you are in the present moment and creatively expressing yourself, you open up into that right side hemisphere, a new channel of information to come through. And when we tie up our logical mind with the painting or the drawing, the creative writing, poetry, playing an instrument or listening to music, all of these like tie up the logical mind. It's like, hey, let me check the other line. And that is when the intuition can come through because you're in the present moment. You're actually aware enough to even notice that there's a nudge trying to make its way through.
So I like to think of all these as flow states. You know, when you're immersed in something, when you're totally just, you've deep dived into something and you're like, oh, you forget what time it is. Like that's really what you want to be looking for. You know, you're in the right state the second you go, how long has it been? What day is it now? And that lets you know that that part of your brain has gone away. And instead, you're tapping into that deep inner wisdom, that deep inner healing. A lot of times it ends up happening, that nurturing, that supportive spirit that's always there with you. But it takes doing something, right? So you are binding that up. And what I like to do really is use physical movement. Physical movement is one of the easiest and one of the best ways to start getting into these states.
Yoga is a beautiful creative expression.
Yoga
with your body.
Yeah, and it can be working out, it can be rock climbing, it can be hiking, it can be something. As long as you're not always thinking. If you're thinking and planning and plotting, you're doing it wrong. All this stuff is about being there and enjoying it. I tell you what, I can go outside on the nights where we get like a big full moon or something. I can go out there and look at that full moon and I stop thinking because it's so bright and so beautiful and so big. And suddenly you're just, oh my gosh, I'm in the moment. And in that moment, all those things that you need, all that clarity that you've been looking for, all the extra hints, all the like, hey, is this job right for me? Should I stay in this relationship? Should I do this next thing? A lot of times those answers just become really clear, and it's not because you're looking for them. A lot of times when you look for them, it seems like they bury themselves even more. But the second that you get immersed in the beauty of the world or the beauty in whatever expression you're doing and the way that you're holding and carrying yourself, what ends up happening is that it reveals itself. It's almost like it was muddy and you wipe the mud off by doing something different, by distracting yourself. And then now it's all coming clear. And
you know, one of the most powerful ways to clear the mind and receive that intuitive insight, of course, hypnosis. We love that. But something like a simple walk in nature is a really powerful way to put your body in the frequency of relaxation, of receptivity. And it helps you to just be in the present, because when you're in awe, like Chris mentioned, in awe of the beauty that surrounds you, it's really hard to be in your mind. So the next thing that you can do is to send your mind on errands. This is when we were teaching this inside the Elevated Life Club. And if you're like, oh my God, this topic is something I absolutely need, then hey, come join us. It's not too late. You can catch the replay of the Intuition Mastery along with 60 other masterclasses on demand when you become a member. All you have to do is go to the elevatedlifeclub.com and sign up for your 14-day trial. Now, with that being said, as we were teaching inside the club today, I literally told Chris when we said this particular thing, like this was the whole reason why we decided to turn this into a podcast, because we thought, holy freaking smokes, like this is the thing. And it is to send your mind on errands. It's giving your mind little errands and tasks to go out and search for the good by asking questions like, why is my day going so good? Why do I look so damn good? Why do I feel unstoppable? You can't help but allow your mind to go look for the good. Just as when we focus on worry, we tend to find all the fucked up shit in our life. But when we start to send our mind on errands and go look for that positive solution or find those reasons why everything is working well, it puts us in a state of open receptivity where our mind is actually working for us to find the good.
Yeah. When is the last time you gave your mind a real task and said, hey, I know you're powerful. I've been working on you since we started school. We've been training you. We've been working hard. When's the last time you gave it something to do? When's the last time you didn't just listen to it or didn't just let it pull you this way and pull you that way? When's the last time you said, hey, go do this? Because you're that powerful. The problem is most of us hardly ever use that power. So you have to be thinking this way. When you give your mind that why question, it has to go out and seek it. That's its whole job. Now, when you say, well, how come nobody likes me? That's not the kind of question we're asking. Any kind of negative, remember, it's got to be phrased in the positive. Why does everybody love me? Man, is that crazy? Everybody just falling in love? How come everybody wants to sign up for my thing? How come everybody is interested in what I'm doing right now? When you ask it questions like that, you're sending it off. And it's because these are things that you don't really need to know the answer for. Like it should be because you love yourself. It should be because you love what you're doing. Those are the answers you already know. Let the mind go away and go do that task because it can't do multiple things at once. That's a cool thing about the mind. Multitasking, forget about it. And so
forget about it.
And so whenever you're asking yourself those questions, there's space. You send the mind off, and now it opens up a huge vacuum of space where normally you would be caught in your emotions, or when you would be caught in anger or jealousy or envy or rage or any kind of those kind of emotions that you have. Once you send it off, now there's a moment where your intuitive soul can step in and say, hey, I'm here.
Hey girl, hey.
Hey. And so it's so beautiful to do this, but most of us never give ourselves a task. We just let it run. Just let it do whatever it wants to do. And instead it's starting to tap in and start to go, I've got this powerful thing, but what can I do with it? And when I take it away, when I send it off to do something, what comes into its place? And a lot of times you realize it's that intuition that steps right on in.
You know what's fascinating about intuition? The definition is knowing beyond logic. So you can't use your logical, rational mind to understand or interpret the feelings, the gut feelings that you're getting. They don't usually make sense. And when you have courage to follow through and take action, that's when you find the door that's been closed for so long was hiding behind the lock that you were holding on to or the key that you were holding on to and saying, yeah, I just don't know if that, I just don't know. I'm overthinking. I'm second guessing. Just fucking go. Trust the intuition and you build your confidence through time. Small little tasks, small little, like when you listen to your intuition on the small things, you develop a confidence in yourself because you start to recognize, wow, there's proof in this process. Like actually things are happening for me and not just to me because I'm listening and trusting and taking aligned action.
Yeah. The last way that we really like doing this, number 4, is self-care. Any kind of self-care rituals you're doing, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't have to be the perfect technique. You don't have to do it in the right way. But when you do self-care, what are you saying? You're saying, hey, I love you.
I value myself.
I care about you. I want you to do well. And so what your mind does during those times is not like, well, this is a good time to worry. This is a good time to be stressed out. But that's not what happens. You start to relax, right? When you're in love with something, you start to let it go. You start to be more in tune with everything, and it starts to silence all those parts that we were talking about. And so as you do the self-care, for me, it's bathing. I love to get in a long bath. To me, you load that bad boy up with Epsom salt. You let the water be hot, let it get on my body. And what happens during that time? Everything relaxes. My muscles relax because of the magnesium from the Epsom salt. The bath water alone, the heat of it allows me to relax. And what happens is I get so many intuitive insights. I know exactly what I'm going to do next, whether it's work stuff, whether it's relationship stuff, whether it's anything. Those insights immediately come, and I'm not looking for them. That's not the goal here. Stop searching so hard. Stop looking so much and start letting everything come to you. So many of us believe that if we'll just try harder, if we'll just spend more time doing the hard stuff.
Force.
Yeah, I remember when Britt was making her Oracle card deck. And I mean, and it's a long process. If you've ever been a writer, if you ever try to have a really big anything, any kind of big product, it takes forever.
Yeah,
and so
can't force the words.
And so she would have those nights sometimes where she's like, holy shit, I can't write anymore. Like this, none of the words are coming, nothing is doing anything. And we would go do a couple things. One is we go on a walk, right? So on the walk, we're not talking about the cards. That's not what's going up. We're just noticing things that are outside. Look how beautiful that bird is. Man, look at this sunset. Look at that tree right there. Same thing. She'd go hop in the shower for a bit. Again, not thinking about the cards in the shower. But the second that you get in there, what happens? Next card comes up. She'll come out of the shower and be like, hey, I just thought about 3 cards. They just came to me. They came to me while I was just sitting there shampooing my hair. It was super, super, super basic. But we forget about that. We stay too in tune to the try, more. And a lot of times we get disappointed. And a lot of times that leads to more frustration. And then we don't feel good about ourselves. And then we're disappointed in what we're doing. And all the time, all we had to do was stop. Just stop and pause. Press pause on the mind. Obviously, if you're in a gangbusters deal and you're just rolling through it, hell yeah, keep going. But the second that it gets stagnant, the second that it gets stale, it's time to do a little something different. And that different thing is always going to be something simple and for yourself.
I want to say that Lily Tomlin said some quote like, if you want to speed up, try slowing down. And I think that's such a great reminder that when we are looking for clarity, we certainly don't find it outside of ourselves. It's found within. And when we try to force or rush the process, or, I need, like, you hold your mind hostage, like, I need the answer right now. Like if you've ever been telling a story and then you forgot mid-sentence and you're like, I'm going to think of it so hard, I'm going to remember it. You push it so far away. So you have to kind of do the opposite. It's like trying to catch a butterfly. You let it come to you versus you chasing it. So I think it's important for you to understand that when you're developing your intuition, it is very important for you to slow down and create the space, create the environment for that information to find its way to you.
Yeah, the big part here is the surrender part. When we're talking about intuition and we're talking about a more feminine quality, surrender is always going to be the answer. Same way it is for love. Surrender is the answer with love. What's really amazing, my favorite book is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, which has a cool ass title. I mean, it says it right. It's very marketing. It's very savvy. I love the title. But if you listen to the story about when he originally made it, he couldn't think of a title. And his publisher said, we're going to print this book tomorrow. And he gave it some crappy title. I can't remember what it was now, but it was terrible. It was like flea flicking, loser. It was just stupid words put together. And the publisher said, if you don't come up with a title by tomorrow, I'm publishing it like this. And it's going to have this crappy title on it. And so Napoleon apparently was upstairs and he was cursing at himself and cursing at his publisher. And all of a sudden he said, you know what? I'm just going to let it go. I'm going to let it go and let my mind work on it while I'm asleep. I'm not going to do it. I'm already stressed about this enough. It's already, I'm racking my brain to figure out anything. He said he woke up and the first thing he thought was Think and Grow Rich. And so it's so important for us to remember that everything is not always pushing. Everything is not always achievement and accomplishment, or even if it is, it's not always done in the way that we've been taught that it is. Surrender. Yeah. Surrender is always the answer. Let it go.
I was just thinking of the time when we were naming the hair salon 17 years ago. I'm like, what are we going to name this hair salon? And we spent days, if not weeks, trying to come up with the perfect name.
And they sucked.
And I finally surrendered and I just said, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. OMG hairstyles. That's it. There was no question asked. I never thought about it. 15 plus 17 years later, I'm still rocking the OMG hairstyles. Although I did go through an identity crisis about 5 to 10 years ago and was like, I need to be called Beauty by Britt. But we let that go because, hey, that was the name and we're going to rock it, because it was very fortuitous as well, because every woman that sits in my chair stands up, looks at herself in the mirror and says, oh my God, wow, I can't believe I look this good. Going back to that question, when you send your mind on errands, why do I look so good? Why do I feel unstoppable? It's so important for you to just relax and trust the process instead of trying to force and control all the things.
Yeah, so intuition is a massively powerful thing. And here we've talked about today, what's the first step to the intuitive process? And that's quieting the mind. You have got to get the mind to calm down a little bit. You've got to send it out. You've got to do things with it. You've got to distract yourself. You've got to start moving around, getting into those flow states, doing things that you love and enjoy. It's so important so that you can find that clarity that you have. There's so much out there that you can be guided by. There's so many wonderful opportunities waiting for you around the corner. But if you stay in the same patterns all the time, the same thinking patterns, the same patterns of actions, you will not get better results, because it's just going to give you more of the same. So if you're looking to break free, If you're like, man, I really wish I had a huge sign from the universe. I really wish I had just show me something big. This is the gateway. The gateway is to quiet that mind and to start tuning in, tuning out the brain, and start tuning in the heart and asking yourself, what really authentically aligns with me? How can I show up and serve? And how can I serve the world in just a much bigger and better way? Not more complicated, not more work, not harder, just better.
So pay attention to where your thoughts are going and allow that energy to flow out of your mind and move down into your heart so that you can allow your soul's voice to speak more clearly. Trust that you have all the answers within you that you are seeking. Whether you're looking for a mentor or a course or a book or hell, the Elevated Life Club, there are tools to help you tap into your intuition and to develop it. But the most important thing is to know that you are the magic sauce, that you have the power, that it is all up to you. We can guide you inside the club. We can give you all these tips and tricks, which, we've only shared 4 ways to quiet the mind. And inside the Elevated Life Club live training that we did on intuition mastery, we shared 6 different ways to quiet the mind, 8 subtle signs that your body's giving you that you're ignoring intuition, and how to integrate that rational mind with the intuitive feelings so that you can make sense holistically of the feelings and thoughts that are coming up for you.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite topics, because once you start tapping intuition, once you realize how it can serve you, because we've designed a society where normally it's just the mind, right? We worship the brain so much and what it can do for us. And it can do a lot of great things. Logic is a wonderful deal. Let's not discount that at all. But it's that intuitive side that gives you the feelings that you want, because we've all known people who are super successful and use their brain to really brute force their way to success. But a lot of times you don't see those people happy. It's all kind of been for naught because they weren't led. It wasn't authentic for them. They just figured out a way and just kept that way for a long time, instead of going, what lights me up? Where am I going to be excited today? How am I going to be in a relationship that really just blows me away? A lot of times when you ask people like, hey, what are you looking for in a relationship? Like, oh, somebody beautiful. And we're just going out on these wonderful things. But that's not it. Well, where's it? Like, how do they make you feel? How do they support you when you're down? It's using those kind of intuitive nudges that will allow the guidance to open up and allow you to flow with life exactly the way you need to.
So we'll leave you with this thought. Forgive yourself for the red flags that you've ignored. It's okay that you've experienced that lesson in the past, but the way to move forward and the way to break that cycle is to start taking action. When you are guided, when it doesn't make sense, do it anyway. Let us know how you enjoyed this episode of The Elevated Life. And if you want more tips and tricks on tapping into your intuition so that you can trust yourself with 100% confidence, then join us inside the Elevated Life Club by going to theelevatedlifeclub.com. That way you can start your 14-day trial and access over 60 on-demand masterclasses, yoga and meditation videos to help you elevate every area of your life. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we will catch you on the next one.
Peace.